ladies and gentlemen, Roger Stone is about to join us. He wants to hear from you. So you can give us a call, 888-201-2244, 888-201-2244. Roger Stone will take your calls on the other side of this next short break. But first, President Trump, Melania Trump, participate in the pardoning of the Thanksgiving turkeys.
Drumstick and his friend Wishbone will live out their days at Gobbler's Rest. Beautiful place. It's custom built.
Gobbler's Rest?
It's an enclosure on the campus of Virginia
Is that McConnell's
Tech.
cheeks and neck?
School. There
Gobbler's
they'll
Rest,
join
that's Mitch McConnell's
Tater
neck.
and Tot. The two turkeys
How are the
pardoned
turkeys
last
going to
year
live
by
on McConnell's
President
gobbler?
Obama.
What is going on?
As many of you know, I have been very active in overturning a number
Is Barron
of
growing, or is it just me?
by my predecessor.
Has Barron grown 2
However,
inches since the election, or am I
have
crazy?
been informed by the White House counsel's office that Tater and Tot's pardons cannot, under any circumstances, be revoked. So we're not going to revoke them. So Tater and Tot, you can rest easy. I'd also like to thank the National Turkey Federation for bringing along 2 other
National
turkeys
Turkey Federation?
from Jandal's Turkey Farm in Orfield, Pennsylvania, the great state of Pennsylvania. We're donating these turkeys to Martha's Table, a truly fantastic charity right here in Washington, D.C., which provides warm meals to people in need. They do a fantastic job. Before we get to the pardon, I would like to take a moment to extend our very heartfelt special message. Thanks, folks, to the finest and bravest people in the entire world, our great men and women in uniform, the military, law enforcement, first responders. These are incredible people, so thank you. Many of you are always, and you know your loved ones, and you're far away, and you spend so much time away. This Thanksgiving, I want each of you to know
as much as I'm sitting here
that
enjoying
we're
this,
forever grateful
the optics, the speech,
for the incredible job and for the
family,
incredible sacrifices that you and your families make in defense of our nation,
they hate this,
our freedom, and our truly great American
liberal can't
flag.
even stand this scene right
I'd also like to express
Barron
my
Trump
thanks
and
to
Melania
the wonderful
with President
citizens
Trump. Oh
of our
my gosh, this is
country,
their worst nightmare.
the people who care for our communities, raise America's children, uphold our laws and our values,
There's a nice
and make
spin
this
from NBC
amazing land into our national home. As we gather together with our families on Thanksgiving and give thanks for our many blessings, we are reminded of the national family to which we all belong as citizens of this incredible country. This Thursday, as we give thanks for our cherished loved ones, let us also renew our bonds of trust, loyalty, and affection between our fellow citizens as members of a proud national family.
You know, folks,
of America.
as we are about to have Thanksgiving here, we are thankful for you out there making all of this possible. And it's so amazing, the INFOWARS family here. Not just the crew and the staff that work together every day to bring you all of our live broadcasts here, but the INFOWARS family extends outside of this studio, outside of the doors here in our office, outside of just the people that work at INFOWARS. It's literally you. You are the INFOWARS family. You literally are vestiges of the INFOWARS body. And if it's not for you out there, we don't even exist. And I've met thousands of you going out on the streets and traveling to different events, and I truly am thankful for all your support. And you really do pay it forward by going to InfoWarsStore.com, purchasing our T-shirts, purchasing our supplements, making it all possible, folks. It's all thanks to you. So this Thanksgiving, I am thankful to all the Info Warriors out there that make it all possible. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even have a show here. I would not even be live right now with this great crew bringing you the day's news every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. Central on the War Room with Roger Stone, who will be joining us in the next segment. He just finished his brain force, so you know he's all riled up. It's Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you. InfoWarsStore.com.
Welcome back.
You're at the right place. Indeed, you're at the War Room with Roger Stone and my colleague, Owen Schroyer. And we're going to be taking your calls for either Owen or myself. And that number, again, 888-201-2244. 888-201-2244. We're wide open. We'll talk about any subject, whether it is the massive sexual harassment meltdown going on in the mainstream media and the Democratic Party, or whether it is any other question that's on your mind, the JFK documents, whatever you want to talk about, we are here. We value the two-way dialogue with InfoWarriors. Owen, very interesting the way BuzzFeed totally ripped off a story reported right here at InfoWars almost 2 months ago. As you know, I reported on the Alex Jones show that the National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, longtime acolyte of George Soros, a man who previously worked for a left-wing think tank funded by Soros's Open Society Institute, the Ford Foundation, and the Rockefeller Foundation, had been privately bad-mouthing his boss, the President of the United States. Specifically, we revealed that McMaster, in a drunken dinner with Sophia Katz of Oracle, the CEO of that company, became inebriated, left the table to take a call from the president, returned to the table, and then disparaged his boss as, and let me quote, a dope, an idiot, incapable of thinking beyond 140 characters, and dangerous with his finger on the nuclear button. Now, Sophia Katz, the CEO of Oracle, was outraged at this sign of disloyalty and disrespect. And as we reported here on InfoWars, she told her longtime friend, Sheldon Adelson, about it. Now that BuzzFeed has jumped on an InfoWars story, it is everywhere, Fortune and elsewhere. This, in my opinion, is a good thing, because I want the president to be sure to see what his national security advisor is doing. This is the same H.R. McMaster who tried to get the president to sign off on 50,000 troops for Afghanistan. That would have been our largest single deployment in a country where we're supposed to be ramping down, but it appears that the neocons who infect the Trump NSA want us to ramp up. So with that, Owen, I'm going to let you be the interlocutor here with the calls. I am happy to begin that process.
All right, then. We got your calls for Roger Stone. We're going to start with John in Pennsylvania. Go ahead, John. You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Going good. Sounds like you got a beautiful baby with you.
Yeah, she's a little info warrior. She stops crying every time I put InfoWars on.
So you put Jake Tapper, Don Lemon on, she cries. You put Roger Stone on, she has a lift of life.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime she hears Don Lemon's voice, she goes into hyperventilation trigger mode.
Go ahead, John. What's on your mind?
So what's on your mind?
I want to know when you think some of these Democrats and Republicans are going to start getting prosecuted, because it seems like it's a big facade at this point. Everything just keeps coming back around in circles, and then more stories keep dropping about who's getting sexually harassed, and I feel like nobody's going to end up going to jail for anything. It's just like a big facade.
Well, it's a difficult question because in many cases, these accusations, while they may be completely valid, are many years old, sometimes long past the statute of limitations for prosecution. These are not court decisions where someone has been legally convicted of sexual harassment. What act the United States Senate takes in its ethics investigation of Al Franken, I think will set the stage. I would point out to you that a second victim of Franken has come forward only yesterday, late yesterday, proving to the consternation of many on Twitter that the entire Franklin accusation was not invented by Roger Stone. Some people believe because we reported this news first on INFOWARS that we somehow were involved in orchestrating it. And while I am flattered by your belief that I can do anything, I have never met Miss Tweeden. I have never communicated with her. I have never communicated with her lawyers or anyone else on her team. A source in New York, a very, very well-placed source, high up in the Fox News organization, tipped me off, and I felt an immediate responsibility to let the Info Warriors know. So, like you, I would like to see prosecutions of those who have assaulted women, but I, like you, am skeptical that that will happen. Thank you very much, though, for your call. Owen, let's go back to the board.
Yep, let's move on to Larry in Mississippi. Larry, you're on the air with Roger Stone.
Hey, Roger. How
Larry?
much of a possibility would it be President Trump to fire that side SOB McMaster? Because
my guess is.
Go ahead.
Well, let me respond to your question. I am told from a reliable source that the president saw today coverage of the McMaster Safra Cat story on MSNBC. Why he would be watching MSNBC and not InfoWars is beyond me, unless, of course, he wants to keep up on what the enemy is doing. So the president is well aware of what's going on. Now, as I reported earlier on InfoWars, in which I will repeat now, the White House counsel, Don McGahn, had prepared a report regarding what appears to be the alcoholism of McMaster. This event at dinner with Safra Katz, the chairman of Oracle, a very accomplished woman, is not an isolated incident. In fact, evidently, McMaster has a tendency to get smashed and badmouth the boss on numerous occasions. Now, I believe McMaster's career was hanging by a thread, that he was on the verge of being canned over these charges when Reince Priebus, the previous White House chief of staff, left, and when he was replaced by General John Kelly. General Kelly saved McMaster's job and kept him in place. But now, I believe, with this story, the various reports of alcoholic fits by Mr. McMaster will be reflected in the mainstream media, will reach beyond the alternative media, and will therefore come to the attention of the president. Let us hope that McMaster's days at the White House are limited. Thank you very much for your call.
Thank you for the call, Larry. Roger, we're short on time here. How much does this affect the president when he reads these stories? Does he kind of just, brush it off his shoulder, or is this something that he really takes to heart because he wants everyone to work congruently to try to make America great again?
Loyalty is a very, very important quality to the president. He values it and he gives it. He has been a loyal friend of mine for over 40 years. And when he gives someone the incredible gift of public service to be appointed to an august and important position like this, and he is paid back by treachery, well, this man is disserving the president, and frankly, he deserves to be fired. White House staffers who leak, that's a disgrace. We'll be right back on The War Room. Welcome back to The War Room. I'm Roger Stone with my incredibly well-dressed colleague, Owen Scheuer. If you're enjoying this programming here at The War Room, I want to remind you that this expansion of our programming is paid for by your support at the InfoWars.com store site. And right now, my all-time favorite product, Brain Force, is at 50% off plus free shipping. This broadcast literally would not be possible without this terrific product. I find that it brings me both mental clarity and mental energy. And therefore, if you want to get this product and you want to get it now at a deep discount and you want to keep getting it, because when we run out at the end of the year, there will be no Brain Force until next year, then you can go to the auto ship program to ensure that you're never without this incredible all-natural supplement, which really makes my extra 6 hours a day that I spend on the margins preparing your broadcasts possible. So again, go to the site now, folks, Brain Force Plus. This is one of the very best and fully tested and extraordinarily well endorsed, if you look at the testimonials, products at the INFOWARS.com site. Oh, and the president is extraordinarily proud of Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago is a palatial estate that was built in the 1920s by Merriweather Post in Palm Beach, Florida. The president purchased this from the United States government at a bargain basement price. He is, after all, the greatest negotiator that ever lived. And he restored this incredible private residence to an extraordinary level. Then, because the most famous and prominent clubs in Palm Beach would not allow either African Americans or Jews, and in some case, even restricted Catholics, Trump converted his palatial vacation home into a private club into which anyone, regardless of their ethnicity, but who had the rather steep entry fee, could become a member. Mar-a-Lago has been an extraordinary commercial success. The president still retains a private apartment there, which is quite nice. I visited there. And now, when we move into what they call the season, beginning this Thanksgiving, actually this Thursday, the president's visits to Mar-a-Lago will begin. This, unfortunately, is a big headache for General John Kelly, the White House chief of staff. Why? Well, because the president has a tendency to wander the property and greet friends old and new. His dinner table becomes a salon. He is accessible to many of his supporters, and the president gets an earful, meaning the president finds out what's on the people's minds. And sometimes this has a tendency to upset the agenda of those who would construct a cocoon around the president and who would like to keep him in the dark on some subjects. We've already reported here at InfoWars that Keith Schiller, the president's longtime body man, was sent into exile by General Kelly because he had the audacity to show the president a newspaper story that Kelly didn't want the president to see. Now, with the president returning to Mar-a-Lago, there are various media reports, including one by Gabe Sherman of Vanity Fair, that Kelly has a plan to cosset the president and deny him access to the dining room, the dining area, really, at Mar-a-Lago. It'll be very interesting to see how this works. There you see it. The dining area is where you see those white umbrellas. This is the actual interior dining room. This is one of the most opulent private clubs in America. I have been there many, many times. I actually lived there for about 2 months in 2000 when Donald Trump was considering a run for the reform nomination for president. And therefore, when I plan to go to Mar-a-Lago later in the week, I will be able to report on the success of Kelly's plan to keep the president away from his friends. Now, I want to go back to your calls. The number again, 888-201-2244. Oh, and who have we got on the call board?
Well, Roger, I'm going to have to make him wait for 10 more seconds because I'm still waiting for my invitation to Mar-a-Lago with you. I can't believe it that you get to go enjoy Mar-a-Lago without me. No, I kid. Let's go to Deb in the state of Washington. You're on the air with Roger Stone. Go ahead, Deb.
Can you hear me?
Yep, go
Yes.
ahead, Deb.
Well, happy Thanksgiving. And I just wanted to say thank you so much. You're part of our Thanksgiving for what's good in our life. And just wanted to say I love to Mr. Stone, I love the hats that you wear that I don't know what the actual name of them are. The one that Rob Dew wore in New York that kind of looks like yours.
The beret.
Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, it's kind of like a beret. Mine was given to me by the Hungarian Society of Cleveland when I worked in that city for the president's reelection, President Ronald Reagan's reelection in 1984. This hat was unfortunately worn by Che Guevara, but that doesn't slow us mavens of fashion down. So thank you, and thank you for your kind words about our small contribution here at InfoWars.
It's not small to us. It's huge. And then I have a question, but I almost feel stupid asking it. But there was discussion on the shows, not just recently, but even before I think shortly after President Trump became, or the politics, the arguing between family members and so on. And I want to make this quick because I know there are other people. But there was a statement made, or so I thought, and if you go by the mainstream lying media, you don't know what's true or not. But I thought that he had said something like Mr. Trump, and I believe he was candidate Trump then. And this is not a trick question. I support Mr. Trump. But I have family members that say to me, well, he said this in New York, and you're really going to stand by that? Or supposedly candidate Trump said something like, oh, I could do plenty of wrong and my followers would still love me. And I'm like, for the sake of not arguing.
Well, I'll tell you what, Deb, we are out of time for this segment, but Roger, I know, has addressed this question before, so he will answer it on the other side. Put a bookmark in that, and the War Room with Roger Stone will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. I'm Roger Stone, and you're at the War Room. Deb, I want to answer your question because this is among the most misinterpreted comments of Donald Trump. During the campaign, he said essentially that in Manhattan, he could point a gun in any direction and kill people and not lose any votes. That was not a comment addressing the loyalty of his followers. It was a comment addressing the fact that here you had the conservative candidate for president living in liberal New York. The point he was making was that he had very little support in liberal Manhattan, his hometown. It had nothing to do with really shooting people. It was a euphemistic expression. And he's right. Trust me, there are not many Trump supporters within a 10-mile radius of Trump Tower. I know. I was there last week, and on at least 4 occasions, I was accosted, once in a public restaurant, 3 times on the streets by leftist hoodlums who want to get into it with me over Trump or Russia or other nonsense. Just as we saw when Alex Jones had hot coffee spilled on him, and I guess it was Seattle, the liberals have no sense of humor, and they can't take a joke. They also have no regard for legitimate dialogue. Their answer is not to debate you on the merits, but to silence us. That's why it is essential for those who support what we do here at InfoWars to support us by going to the InfoWars.com store. You see, as I've said many times, we have no billionaires hanging out in the wings writing us big checks to subsidize what we do here at InfoWars. We can only rely on the individual info warriors going to the site and taking advantage of the extraordinary sales there. This Black Friday sales begin today. Silver Bullet, a powerful, extraordinary colloidal silver preparation, it's 67% off. Knockout, 50% off. And of course, my all-time favorite, Brain Force Plus, at 50% off, plus free shipping. So I find Knockout excellent on those nights in which I have some insomnia, in which my brain just keeps rattling around on new projects, new ideas. Tomorrow's broadcast on the War Room, or the Alex Jones Show, where you'll be able to see me tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern. I find this product to be extremely effective. Yet the next morning, I don't wake up with a hangover or lethargy or kind of the thickness that you get from store-bought preparations to aid in the sleep. This all-natural product, Knockout, now available an extraordinary 50% off at the Infowars.com store. Oh, and let's go back to the board. I was happy to answer Deb's question, which is really about geography rather than the loyalty of his supporters.
Let's go to Tom, who is in Florida. Go ahead, Tom.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, Tom. Go ahead.
Hello. I've been listening to your program quite a bit. You make a lot of sense, and I think Hillary Clinton's one that should be not in prison, but put as a slave.
Well, Tom, our system doesn't allow for that. We do have a judicial system. I certainly agree that she should be prosecuted. Look, Bill and Hillary Clinton and their greedy little daughter, Chelsea, would steal a hot stove. These people are career criminals, whether it is selling military secrets, in fact, missile targeting technology to the Chinese in return for illegal campaign contributions, whether it is giving $1 billion to the Russians so that they could fortify their underground shelters against nuclear attack, or whether it is trading control of 20% of America's uranium output and mining rights for uranium worth billions of dollars in return for $143 million in contributions to the Clinton Foundation, plus a $500,000 payoff to Bill Clinton himself. It's time for Bill and Hillary Clinton to be prosecuted. What was it they told us in the wake of Watergate? No person is above the law. Now, I agree with something Owen Schroyer said yesterday, watching Bill and Hillary Clinton and James Carville on the screen. These folks look like they belong in an old age home. I mean, it is pathetic that she is still on the stage and doesn't know when to get off. She seems to believe in her entitlement that people want to hear from her. In fact, even my friends who are Democrats don't want to hear from her. They just want her to go away. Now, if Jeff Sessions were really doing his job at the U.S. Justice Department, there would be an open investigation into not only her emails and why they have not been made public, but into the vast criminal conspiracy of the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation is not a charity. It's a slush fund for grifters, and it has been the vehicle for the facilitation of multi-million-dollar bribes. So, if you don't have your Hillary for Prison t-shirt, you can get it today at the Infowars.com store and wear it proudly because, Tom, I agree. It's well past time that the Clintons pay the price for their massive criminality. Thank you so much for your call.
Well, and if we're going to go down the lines of cruel and unusual punishment, not that I agree with Tom's stance, but I have heard others float the idea that we take these corrupt politicians and basically turn them into modern-day court jesters or comedians and put them on television and make them read jokes all day so we can laugh at them. But this country is against cruel and unusual punishment, so we can't do that. Let's now go to Joan, who is in Michigan. Joan, you have a question for Roger Stone. Go ahead.
Hi, Roger and Owen. Love your show.
Thank you.
I'm calling because I'm really alarmed about this nomination that President Trump has put forth. Mr. Alex Azar, former president of the U.S. division of drug company Eli Lilly, also served in the Bush administration as Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services, and also was a board member for a trade association that lobbied for manufacturers of GMOs and vaccines. So why would President Trump bring this kind of swamp creature? I'm sorry, with that resume, you're not a good guy. You can't be, in my book. So there's a lot of people out here that I know in the vaccine injury victim world that are just stunned by this nomination. It really shakes our faith in what President Trump's all about. I'm not pulling my support, but when I saw that, it was like a punch in the gut. I'm going, what is he doing? Any thoughts on that, Roger?
Yes, I completely share your concerns. One of the great disappointments I've had so far in the president is his promise to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that he would be appointed to chair a commission to look into the safety of vaccines. This has not happened, to my great disappointment. Meanwhile, the president seems to be appointing mandatory vaxxers to every health position in his administration. Here is the question. Does he know? Has he been told the backgrounds of these people, or are their backgrounds being kept from him? In many cases, Bush admin appointees are put on his desk, but their Bush service is left off. Welcome back. You're at the War Room with Roger Stone and Owen Schroyer. We've been taking your calls because we value the two-way dialogue with Info Warriors. To wrap up our last call, I have a major piece coming on how the president's fundamental distrust for vaccinations and his deep concern over the issue has been subsumed by his administration. I think it is vitally important that the president go ahead and appoint the commission that he offered to Robert Kennedy Jr. so we can get to the bottom of the question of the safety of these vaccinations. I will be writing and speaking on this issue more in just the days ahead. Owen, let's use our time left to go back to the board. I want to get in as many calls as we can from the Info Warriors.
All right, let's go to Teresa in Montana. You're on the air with Roger Stone. Go ahead, Teresa.
Hi, this is Tessa from Montana. I love you, Owen and Roger. I really appreciate the fact that you have opened up my eyes. I'm a middle-aged woman and been in the working class all my life, and I never realized everything that has going on. But my question to you is, there was a piece done by Alex this morning about Google, and I wanted to know how can we protect ourselves from Google and everything that they're doing on our phones.
Well, your question is appropriate at this time because, as you probably know, I'm about to enter a major legal battle with Twitter. And some have urged me to broaden that lawsuit to include Google because the effort to censor us here at InfoWars is about to move ahead big time. I believe by mid-December, most of the major conservative voices, my friends Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec, and others, will be completely and totally banned for life at Twitter and will be actively undermined by Google. And therefore, I have been meeting with lawyers, including Judge Andrew Napolitano, who I met with late last week, to put together the mother of all lawsuits, because the actions of Google and Twitter, and in some cases Facebook, are not only violating our First Amendment rights, not only are they violating antitrust law, but in many cases they are violating their service contracts with us. So we are preparing an extraordinary lawsuit, but unfortunately, as you just saw on the screen, this kind of operation costs an enormous amount of money. Google can afford the very best white shoe corporate lawyers in America, where we have got to go out and recruit a legal team to fight this important fight. So if you want to help, you can go to the StoneDefenseFund.com. That's StoneDefenseFund.com. And believe me, our lawyers are not getting $800 an hour. They're not even getting $400 an hour. But they are, like us, patriots, and they are committed to this fight against the tech left. The other thing you can do today that I will appreciate, somebody has set up a feed on Twitter called Not Roger Stone, Not Roger Stone. I urge you to sign up there because this patriot is covering what I do in all mediums, is covering what I say here and do here at InfoWars. And I do not control this feed. I don't even know the individual, the patriot, who's gone out and taken out and taken out this name and set up this feed. But Not Roger Stone is out to destroy the real fake news, the globalists, and the establishment pukes who would attempt to abridge our First Amendment rights. So, folks, sign up and follow now at Not Roger Stone. Last week, as you may have heard, Twitter closed down the Stone Cold Truth and, pardon me, Stone Zone tweets. Now, it's interesting because the Twitter rules specifically say that they will close down Twitter feeds that are set up to evade a ban on anyone at Twitter. The problem with that is Stone Cold Truth was set up on Twitter in 2015 and is no way set up specifically to evade the temporary, although they say permanent, suspension of Roger Stone. Let's be as clear as we can. I won't be back on Twitter until a judge orders it, and a judge will order it, as you will see. Again, if you want to help us in this fight, go to StoneDefenseFund.com. We're going to be setting up a special segregated fund for those who want to fight censorship. But in the meantime, your dollars would be appreciated. And at the same time, don't forget to visit the INFOWARS.com store for the extraordinary specials we're running. That keeps us on the air here at InfoWars and allows us to continue the expansion. So these are both worthy of your consideration. Thank you so much for your call.
All right, let's go to Jada now in Michigan. Go ahead, Jada.
Hi. First, I just want to start off with my dad and I both love you both so much, and thank you guys. We're actually opening everybody's eyes. But my question is Trump, our president, our wonderful president, is talking about draining the swamp. Wouldn't draining the swamp first start with shutting down the Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton Foundation?
Roger, did you catch that question? I think we may be having a connection problem with Roger here, guys.
We just lost our sound here, Owen, so I'm going to let you take
Roger. Jada was just asking you, what are the odds or the qualifications of getting the Clinton Foundation shut down?
Well, again, this would be an action that should be undertaken by the Trump Justice Department. You certainly have enough evidence. They have violated their IRS regulations under which they are formed. They're also violating numerous state regulations and reporting requirements. I urge the listener to look at the extraordinary work of Charles Ortel. That's O-R-T-E-L, Charles Ortel. I believe you can find him at charlesortel.com. Charles Ortel is a wizard from Wall Street, one of the very best financial analysts in the country, and he has written extensively on the Clinton Foundation corruption. I commend this site to you to learn more about Charles Ortel, a truly great American. Thank you so much for your call.
Okay, we've got Frank lined up in Michigan next. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, General.
Roger and Owen, have a nice Thanksgiving and a blessed Thanksgiving. I'm just calling to make a quick comment. It's probably off the wall, but Mr. Owen, I tell you what, when I first saw you, I didn't really care for you. But I tell you what, brother, I'm in love with you now. You are going to be the future of INFOWARS. And what I want to do, I want to volunteer to be the toy boy or coy boy or whatever the young lady wants, but I'm probably old enough to be her grandfather. Because you said earlier you got to have her turn on to a toy boy or coy boy or...
The soy boys. You're talking about the soy boys, Frank.
Yeah, I want to be a soy boy. That's it. Well, I'm a heart patient survivor, so I forget words a lot. And Leanne, she's a sweetheart. She's developed a lot over the years also. But I love you guys, and I wanted to wish you both a great, everybody INFOWARS, a great Thanksgiving, a blessed Thanksgiving, a happy Thanksgiving, and beyond.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words, Frank.
For your call. You're right. Owen kind of grows on you, sort of like cancer.
Oh, come on.
We're having some audio problems here, so I'm going to let Owen pick it up from there. But I think you've got a fan there, Owen.
Hey, it was nice to hear from Frank. I'm glad that I was able to grow on him. I guess I can be kind of callous when you first start to listen to me in my approach to broadcasting. But, Roger, I'm just glad that neither yourself or I are a soy boy, and we still have bravery and honor and courage enough here to go live on INFOWARS and report the truth. Roger Stone, I bid you adieu. We will catch up tomorrow.
Many thanks, Owen.
There goes Roger. We'll be back on the other side with more of